Love and Friendship is this story written by Jane Austen, and, you'd think it's about love and friendship, but it's really not. It's more about fainting. Yeah, it's, an epistolary novel, because it's told through letters, which, in case you don't know, letters are these things people used to write, before we had email. Anyway, it's about this girl, Laura, and she's writing to, her friend's kid, Marianne. Basically, everything starts this one day in the middle of the night. This guy, Edward, shows up at her house, and he's like, I ran away from home because my dad was like, you need to marry what's-her-face. And Edward's just like, no, Dad, I don't wanna. So he runs off to find Laura, and he's like, I just met you, but you're better somehow. So they get married. He's also got this friend, Augustus, who's married to this girl, Sophia, who he also ran away from home to marry. No one listens to their parents in this story. Yeah. So they meet them, and Laura and Sophia hit it off right away, and they become best friends, and from all that excitement, they immediately faint. Literally, no joke there. So Edward and Laura decide they're just gonna crash at their place for a while, and they're pretty much freeloaders, and they don't really care about money, and so Augustus goes into all this debt that he can't pay, and then he gets arrested, and he's probably gonna be executed. And then Laura and Sophia just freak out, and they faint again. And Edward's like, I'll fix it, I'll save you, buddy. And he decides he'll go and help overturn the sentence. Yeah, so Laura and Sophia are left by themselves, and they just cry and faint for a little while. And then eventually they decide they'll go out and find their husbands. So meanwhile, while their carriage is racing through the streets, they're just shouting out the window, have you seen Edward? To just these random strangers, not even giving a last name. So yeah, no one really gives them an answer. So, oh yeah, and then Laura's like, BTW, my parents died 2 weeks after I left them, so that kind of sucks. But anyway, they decide they're gonna go to Scotland and stay with one of Sophia's cousins or something. And on the way there, they find this old man, and they trick him into believing he's their grandpa, so he'll give them money, because turns out they don't have any money. And so while they're basically conning this senile old person, these two other dudes decide they want to join in as well. And then Laura and Sophia faint again, and while they're passed out, the two guys steal their stolen money. So I guess you could say they had it coming. Eventually, yeah, they make it to Sophia's cousin MacDonald's house, and they tell his daughter Janetta that she shouldn't marry the guy her dad said to, because I guess this guy doesn't have a soul or auburn hair, and I guess that's really important to her. And so they tell her just to marry this guy that she's really only been talking to, so she runs off and does that. Then a few days later, I don't know, Sophia's like, I'm gonna go look through all of McDonald's stuff and see if there's any money I can take, because they still don't have any money. So then while she's doing that, McDonald, barges in, and he's like, what do you think you're doing? And she's like, what are you doing? You can't just barge in here, even though this is your house. And, in the process of doing that, Sophia decides that she's gonna blab to McDonald, I guess as a way to get revenge or something, I don't know, that it was her and Laura that told Janetta to run off with that guy. So then McDonald gets kind of mad, and he kicks him out. So then, now they're walking, and they decide they're gonna take a break and sit by this stream. And, while they get to talking, and Sophia's like, we can't talk about Augustus, it just makes me too sad not knowing where he is. So then Laura's like, okay, well, those are some nice trees over there. And Sophia's like, Augustus was tall like the trees, don't talk about the trees. So then Laura just sits there in silence. And then Sophia's like, why aren't you talking? This silence makes me think of Augustus, and that makes me sad. So then Laura's like, okay, gee, what a nice sky. And then Sophia's like, he used to wear blue. How dare you bring up Augustus after I asked you not to? And then Laura's like, you are literally the one that keeps bringing him up. Anyway, then they see this carriage accident happen, so they rush on over to see who's in it. Turns out it was their husbands, which no one really seems to question. But they are fatally wounded in the accident and going to die soon. So Laura and Sophia decide to take part in their favorite pastime of running mad and fainting. And while they're doing this, the husbands die, but they don't really notice at first, because they were too busy freaking out. But eventually they do notice, and they just kind of leave them there. I guess they don't care anymore. I don't know. But in the process of all the fainting, Sophia got sick, and she's like, Laura, come here. This is really important that you know this. Like, go ahead and run around mad and be crazy all you want, but like, don't faint because you'll die. And she's like, it was just really cold out, and I was out cold, in the cold. It was just a really cold time. So anyway, Sophia dies. And then Laura, like, meets up with Edward's family again. And she basically has to explain all the stuff that just happened. And they're just kind of like, the fuck? And yeah, that's basically the end.